Okay, hey YouTube. It has been 1 week since my last video, and yes, you heard that correct. That's 1 week, not 2 years, not 1 year, just 1 week. So please keep this in mind. Remember this in 2022 when I make my next video that I am maintaining my current pace quite well. But jokes aside, what have I been doing for these last 3 years, 2 years, whatever it's been, while I haven't been making videos? And the answer to that is just living life and enjoying it for the most part. Pandemic, Trump, all this crazy stuff aside, life is pretty damn good right now for me and has been really good for me these last couple of years. And that's a big part of the reason, perhaps like the bulk of the, if not the reason, why I haven't been making videos. And I know that a lot of folks always wonder, like, where do these trans YouTubers go when they stop making videos? And I suspect, and at least based off of my experience, that you move on with life. As you get further and further away from transition, transition is something that you did. It's not like an ever-present, like occupying thing in your mind. And being trans becomes, at least for folks who like pass or blend, much less kind of front and center part of your life, and instead you start thinking about other things like, well, what about my career? How is this going? Like, do I think that I have the growth options and opportunities that I want here? How do I like living in the city of Dallas? Is there somewhere else like the Bay Area of California that might be a better fit? And so for the first time in my life as a trans person, I live in a city, in a state that doesn't just tolerate my identity, but accepts it and perhaps embraces it even more than I do, which is a really fantastic welcome change of pace, because for those of you who have been following me for a long time will remember I was born in Ohio, which is one of two states that won't let a trans person change their gender marker on a birth certificate. I grew up in North Carolina, the state that I call home, which is the only state that passed the trans bathroom bill. And so it was illegal for me to go use a public bathroom for a year or whatever until like they repealed that ridiculously stupid law. That Texas, the state I lived in for close to a decade, saw North Carolina do this and said, well, hey, like, hold my beer, let's go try this too. That didn't really work out. They never ended up actually passing it. And in between, I did a stint in Tennessee, which is kind of a blend of the dumb of Texas and the blend of North Carolina, but certainly like not that particularly trans-friendly either. And so it's refreshing to live somewhere where being trans is like not a big deal. And I have friends who left Texas or left Tennessee who happen to have trans experiences of their own, and they moved to states like Massachusetts or California. And when I was talking with them, they both remarked about how, even though for both of them they had been like years, decades into transition, just how much different it is to live somewhere where you don't feel like constantly at risk or under attack directly from your state government, from the people who live around you, stuff like that. And that's like, like it's sad to say like that's normal life for every LGBT, like every non-minority in the country, right? It's like status quo is that's normal. But if you're not, cis het white men, essentially, like your rights, your identity can constantly be under attack. Certainly constantly at risk. And so it's a very welcome change of pace. And now granted, like I had a very fantastic employer, fantastic job in Dallas, and so like even had the state legislature managed to pass one of these stupid bills, I would have been pretty protected from it, like professionally as well as personally. just because of that privilege. And then coming out here to California, like, it's just even, like, better. And living in the Bay means that I get to be outdoors so much more than I was when I was in Texas. There's no, like, oppressive, like, 110 degree months in the summer. There's so many hiking opportunities and other opportunities to get outdoors. I bought an Epic Pass and went skiing like pretty much every weekend in Tahoe up until they closed down the ski resorts. And I've started looking into surrogacy because that is a benefit that my new employer actually covers, or helps cover rather. And so they'll give me $20,000 towards the cost of surrogacy, and then they will also help cover the cost of IVF. And so for folks who've never looked into surrogacy or who aren't that familiar with it, you can typically expect to pay somewhere around $80,000 to $100,000, give or take, depending on some various other factors, for a surrogacy, like, kind of end-to-end experience. And that is, or was, and still frankly would be, like, financially out of reach for me if I didn't have this job and didn't work for a company that had these kind of benefits. And that was a big reason why I came here, is because pursuing motherhood is sort of like the next big milestone in my life. And that's what I'll be focused on when I'm not at work, when I'm not outside, trying to, work through that process. And really excited about that because it was something that I sort of never envisioned for myself. And yeah, that's it. That's what I've been up to. There's unfortunately, or maybe like not that that's not enough, but certainly with the pandemic, I still have no dating life, and so there's some things haven't changed at all, but that has. And we'll see how this all works out. But, it's nice to just be able to move forward, and start thinking about what's the next chapter that I want to write. And I hope that all of you are staying safe and healthy. And if you want, leave some comments. And maybe whenever I make this next video, we can do some Q&A or something like that, or whatever.